This election is one. For our purpose, the model country, a country already which spoke to the ICC, we have to step up because the courts in the United States, first they toyed with Donald Trump, then they reversed Roe versus Wade. So we have to move into courts where there is real justice. So that's why we will call this country the model country, because they did complain to the International Criminal Court. And October 31, 2022 at 10:59 a.m., they resumed an inquiry regarding human rights. But I actually learned more about the Human Rights Watch organization. And to me, if they have headquarters in the United States, I don't think you'll be able to really uncover things. They don't want to expose anything. They want to keep this facade of being the American dream. So there are children. I can say it in 5 languages. Ce sont niños, ce sont des enfants, das sind Kinder, they are children. Ana Atfal Hastan. So here's my little tyke in Jamaica with my grandmother, his great-grandmother. He looks so happy in that picture. My sister in New York, I'm not running to her in New York. I'm staying here. I call her on the phone. I text her. I keep a email. I keep a open line of communication. And she knows that when I call, text, or email, it's code 8 for help. But she gave me this picture, and that's when I realized just how content my little tyke was in my mother's house across the street from the elementary school. And in that moment, that was a God moment. I should have left him there so he could jump the fence and go across the street. Because the Queen gave us the finest schools in Jamaica. She put Cambridge University to manage our high schools. And the principal of the elementary school in front of my mother's house, her daughter is the first female PhD in engineering. So this business model made them suffer and die. It's business models and permissions. I'm still working on the delegation. I sent out some emails. There was a group from another Caribbean island that had some kind of complaint. So I try to catch them while they're still mad, because in the United States, people get mad and then 2 weeks later they go to work and Walmart and they're over it. So we got to give them support and keep the communication open in order to see if we can push through and get a verdict. Will Kamala Harris be in BRICS? Well, BRICS IFF was a fashion expo and United States was there. So that's BRICS IF, BRICS everything. So there are 27 international human rights organizations, and I actually contacted them. If they had an address in the United States, I did not contact them because they'd be too near to the problem. And that was when I didn't edit myself. My communication wasn't so clear. I didn't have YouTube. But here's some information about the ICC. Why can the ICC investigate and prosecute U.S. personnel? There are limited situations in which the ICC has jurisdiction over the nationals of countries such as the U.S. that have not joined the Rome Statute, but it doesn't say there are situations where the ICC has jurisdiction over nations, and that's really specifically what we need. But all of this is intrusive. It violates my human rights. It's outrageous government conduct. It violates my Fourth Amendment rights. It was wrongful termination. And recently I had stalking to the bank. So it was very intrusive. Wednesday, October 16, 2024. The Jamaican banker at my credit union was replaced with an African-American banker who was joined by an African-American in a black car in the parking lot, and then an African-American state trooper was over there by my bank. I would go 2 cities north to do my banking at a credit union. So I feel worried about my Social Security retirement. I hope that doesn't get stolen or robbed. Anyway, so the election was won by the record-breaking women's Zoom meeting, record-breaking white women's Zoom meeting, record-breaking black women's Zoom meeting, record-breaking stars for Kamala Harris, record-breaking Gen Z, record-breaking white dudes for Kamala Harris, and some other Zoom meetings and some incredible campaign events in Michigan. Maria Shriver, Liz Cheney, and Kamala Harris. That was the most beautiful one. Let's see if we have it here. Well, this was a Gen Z meeting. And here, Kamala Harris and her sister Maya. I emailed Maya, and their mother said, don't just complain, do something. So they are my activist heroes. And of course, my life coach, she says, live free on your own terms. Here's Kamala Harris saying, anyone who beats down another is a coward. And Meghan Markle, as usual, thinks about women being empowered and find your possibilities in the community and in the world. What really impressed me was Meryl Streep made a point about permission. And her point about permission was Donald Trump ridiculing a handicapped person and imitating his disability. And she was saying that you're giving permission for other people to be that cruel. And that's the point of it. Then Dick Cheney came along and said he was giving the permission structure to Kamala Harris being president. And Dick and Liz Cheney, they're such a dynamite dad-daughter duo. The top Republicans are, and Liz traveled with Kamala and presented her to Maria Shriver. So, I mean, Kamala Harris is having the most beautiful, like, how great the best wines age in the wine kegs, and they get the perfect taste. She's having the perfect campaign moving towards the election with Maria Shriver and Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, so many people. Well, as Kamala gets more empowered towards her position of president, I have to not just dwell on my pain and my problems. I'm going to try that because I'm so happy for her, Maya, and her whole family. But this was just another permission incident. I was working in Boca Raton at Mr. Batmasian's Winfield Plaza, and I go in early for this help to help the owner. I'm very entrepreneur focused because I would go in really early when there was nobody there to get things done. So I was there maybe 2 to 3 to 4 a.m. and there were two sheriffs, 6:45 a.m. Saturday, March 18, 2022. And I know they know I had a very wonderful, like, superwoman experience working with the city of Delray Beach and Walgreens. I bought 2 properties and I accumulated quite a bit of wealth and had a luxurious lifestyle. So now I'm trying to recover all of that without all those people, those 8 people were in my house for 8 years. Anyway, it's not really about me. The change management is really about all women and children all over the world. So here's John Sarbanes, my hero. His secretary keeps emailing me. I try to contact Congress, the Senate, and the House, and a lot of press. And the last ones were the FBI because I showed the FBI pictures of my house being damaged, my Fourth Amendment rights being violated. So I just send them the YouTube videos as a report to them, my final report to the FBI. So, but John Sarbanes is so incredible because he said it's 300 million Americans against big money. And I can see his point of view, and I really try to do a little volunteer work to let him see that whatever he's seen in Maryland is so much worse in Palm Beach County, where Donald Trump is located. Anyway, I was doing a little probability calculation for the scenarios of the future, how robots will take over, how much they'll do. And when Kamala Harris is president, she made promises her last speech for children, seniors, for women having autonomy over their own bodies. We're putting Roe versus Wade back, and general improvement in life in America. So here's a robot who's working. So women want their rightful place at the table. You know, at 6 o'clock I have a huddle with Upwork, and I gotta make sure I'm on time with it. But I needed to make this video because women want their rightful place at the table. And we don't want to go over the things that Trump has done, some misogyny, and of course there's a lot of things in the media and in the community which show that women's rights and empowerment was really generally going downhill. And regarding my own experience, but I don't want to dwell on that today. I really want to get into my huddle with Upwork. This would be my first. I had a few AI webinars which I really appreciated. And I still think that people of different cultures have different thinking styles and different expectations. So that's why I'm on YouTube like this, because I have different expectations and I have different thinking styles. And I come from an interdependent society, which I finally have that answer after talking to the Department of Anthropology at FAU and the head of the Department of Anthropology at FAU. I finally have the answer. And so sometimes I'm going to have to explain myself to people because I'm different. So we don't want people to get away with anything. Kamala Harris was a prosecutor, but she still used to ask people, are you okay? So I know there's some things that I want to complain about, but I'm very concerned that O.J. Simpson's wife's sisters did not really have proper closure. So I did try to contact them about my experience because they wonder how things happened to their sister. Anyway, we think that prevention by support system, detection by attorneys, justice in the courts, reproductive freedom, and women's health care are some things we would like. We think Kamalanomics will improve everything. They said it's healing and education. There's our superwoman, Kamala. She's a proven winner. She has such a wonderful resume, from prosecutor to senator, Senate Intelligence Committee. That was so incredible. She told us about that. That's like a whole secret thing in a closed room. And so we were so glad to hear about that because that really prepared her to be president. And I won't go over the painful acronyms anymore, but I am really interested in the Caribbean diaspora globally. And I had some kind of complaint from one of the Caribbean islands, so I emailed them what I was thinking. And they think that the Caribbean Diaspora Lives Matter is a powerful dialogue. So we believe in our culture. And the other delegation is time done. I need to email them some updates, but I need to see people responding to all my emails because I used to print my YouTube addresses. Some people throw them in the garbage. So the other delegation is most of the people at Changing Lives. The clients are Changing Lives because Officer Order described people as of limited value. And the people he described as of limited value in Seattle, one of them was a graduate student. So that's pretty painful to me. And this is just a transcript from the dash cam. This is the protest, and I wanted to point out that Americans do some really dramatic, emotional protests, like burning things, getting arrested and all that stuff. And then 2 weeks later, they're back in their car going to work and going to Walmart and forget what they were angry about. So that's why we're reaching out to victims. We said, please begin to collect evidence and videos. We'll organize Zoom calls. We're going to contact the numerous pro bono international human rights attorneys. We're going to get the delegation to the attorneys, and we're going to get the delegation to the ICC. We hope it goes that smoothly, but I feel like you can trust the International Criminal Court. They recently had a verdict of $900 million. And we are planning on a verdict of US $500 million. Harvard recently had a philosophy lecture, and I was so glad that people always throw the word equality around, but I'm glad that Harvard, this lecture was focusing on the differences because they found a new difference, which is legacy. So we have differences like family background, customs, culture, different things like that. But they were pointing out that we have to have correctives. So for the problem of race, there's affirmative action. That's just a kind of corrective. And I started using correctives, and I point out to people that they are corrective, a corrective. I'm correcting something. So we want to do Caribbean Lives Matter, time down, limited value, and the model country. We hope to communicate with them. They have a different language, so we're gonna have to break the language barrier. But there used to be 8 judges at the International Criminal Court, but now there are 18 judges. So we hope that we can do the change management and change something in this world. So 48 years ago, I had a summer job in the government of Jamaica, and this is the culmination of my civic duty, and I hope I will be able to get into that international court and change something. And I just want to express my gratitude to Florida Atlantic University, which is a Trump supporter. That's what the news said. But, it's so amazing because they had a protest over there by social work department, and they had an audience, they had music, they had food, and people stood up and spoke. That's the alpha protest. So Florida Atlantic University is incredible because they're open to dialogue. They like to hear the other side. And I'm so grateful that I can use the library, and now I'm using the computer lab. So I put my diploma up there because it's a fine foundation for Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, AI, and everything. And here's Tim Walz. He's the best teacher and coach, and he's going to be able to help Gen Z through all of this. And Kamala Harris says it's new management. We have to trust women, and she's the fighter. Of course, Jesus at Luke 23:28-31, he had empathy for the weeping woman. Well, this is my family. We are an interdependent society, and what I'm doing is for the 300 women in my family, for the millions of women in the United States, and billions of women all over the world. I feel that I do have an opposing value system because I'm interdependent, and recently me, my sister, and my uncle were trying to get my nephew through college, and now he's married. So we got him through college, and now he's married. But it looks like in order to get him to that point, my sister is dead, my uncle is dead, and I'm in pretty bad shape. But if we made this boy better for the future, he's my friend on Facebook, so I got to check on him. If that's what it takes to be an interdependent society, so it'll be it. So the Caribbean diaspora is global, and my best friend in high school, she took French with me, and she took German, and she lives in Germany. So this is how Biden said that he was resetting the US dollar after China was trying to de-dollarize and BRICS was trying to de-dollarize. So US dollar is still doing very strong. I think these are reserves, total reserves. So if they've been at the top since World War II, but I feel like if you're at the top, with that comes more responsibility. So Harvard Business Review also had this article. It says, managers manage and leaders change. So we have to move the needle, and that's what Doug and Kamala Harris were moving the needle, and they want to modify something. So they have done a good job of that because they have Republicans on board. That is incredible. And there they are, that team. They did move the needle, and we look forward to them managing the country. There's Mamala. And there's my little tyke. I miss him so much. It's so very painful. But I had to analyze the whole thing. And my sister was also taken from me. But I think that what I realize is because a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom, I was right by FAU. I went on that property to say, how do you always get these really good price properties? And it's just a business model. And I'm grounded in the Jehovah Witness Church, but I object to people being on board with a business model where people have a secret life. I do not like that they sold this $340 million property to the Kushners. Charles Kushner went to prison for not paying his taxes, and they sold it at that time when Trump was president. So they seem to be all aligned. This is the business model here. They do not pay labor costs for construction. I was a volunteer like this woman. I did insulation. I used to help clean their properties. But the world doesn't really know. And, you know, sometimes there are children in these construction sites working. I had a picture of a child doing construction. But children should not suffer for a business model. And the secret life of Jehovah's Witnesses, if you have no birthdays, no Christmas, no Easter, no Thanksgiving, no July 4th, no Happy New Year, you can't do these things with your co-workers or your family. It's like obvious that you will end up with a secret life, what you're doing with your time when you're not around anybody who could protect you. I was so paranoid about some stalking that I was experiencing, but I don't want to spend time on that. Here are the activists, Kamala, Maya, and Mina. I tried to contact Maya and Mina. I tried to contact Kamala Harris, but yeah, of course, you know, their social media coordinators are probably who I'm communicating with. And Washington Post was trying to get to them. John Sarbanes, Laurie Berman. I tried so hard. I have to lighten up on that because I got to make some money. So I'm really fighting for all women, and I'm inspired by Kamala, Maya, and Mina. And I hope that Mama Law will be the happy medium between African American coup d'etat and white fascism.